You know, in the Old Testament, there was no pray for your enemies. There was prayer for God to deal with your enemies. And I still believe that God has to deal with them. I don't necessarily know that I have to deal with them. I have to keep doing what I'm doing, which is fighting the good fight of faith, fighting for this ministry to survive, to keep some of you who have the tendency to stray off in line. But still God's problem at the end of the day. But I want to change gears. I want to talk to you about something that really blessed me today. Sometimes blessings come in the weirdest ways. I don't know why, but people are always leaning towards believing gossip and negative things. That's just the way it is. I think people are attracted to that. If you have a tendency towards that's going to be your gravitational pull. And I've always taken the position that if somebody has slipped in their faith, they will find any reason to throw it on me, blame me, make it my fault. And I've seen this over the years. I saw this, by the way, when I was by Dr. Scott's side. I saw this repeatedly, but it's much different when you're the recipient. And probably in the early days, and I say early days, in the first 2 or 3 years of ministry, I let it get to me because I have such a sensitive soul to the ministry, to the people of God, foremost to the Lord, that I would take it as, what could I have done to have avoided this? And the fact of the matter is, I couldn't have done anything. Those people who have a bent to, in spite of what they see, to believe otherwise, you can't change their mind. And I just, it's not something so thought-provoking. Jesus had that problem. They saw his ministry unfold in front of their eyes, and yet he's accused of, having a demon. And people that, no matter what they saw, it didn't make them, it did not make them necessarily followers or believers. In fact, one of the passages that I often quote, I think I've quoted it so often because it's true. And the question is asked, will you also go away? Because he finished saying something that was kind of so maybe difficult for the disciples. These are difficult things, who can understand them? Will you also go too? Because some of the disciples stopped following at that point. People will go, those that have the inclination, they'll go to the lowest watermark, not striving to look beyond, not recognizing that we all have faults. We all are sinners. We all have issues. Good Lord, just get off of your high horse and get real. Because there's nobody that can stand and say, well, not me. And the people, even the people who are the worst offenders in this case, I'm referring to events through this ministry. It would be one thing if they were Mother Teresa in character, but they're not. They're not even whited sepulchres. Not even. They're just people who have slipped from the faith and have chosen any avenue, but the first and most desirable one is to blame me. they become enemies. People outside the ministry who are not necessarily involved but I'm acquainted with will say, I don't understand. And I'll say, it's very simple that you don't understand. This is a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual issue. And I've said many times, the devil doesn't care how he wins somebody away as long as he accomplishes his purpose. And some of these are, by the way, some of these are won away under the guise that they are doing the Lord's work. And that I'm not doing the Lord's work like they'd like or like they said that I should be doing it. So they go out and they do the Lord's work, but they're not content enough to have a burden of their own. They would like to take some part of what I'm responsible for and make it as though that's their burden that they're responsible for. And as many of you know, the presentation that's now on the internet, which I think they labeled the battle for the Dr. Scott's legacy, the teaching and all the legal riffraff that's gone on. I received, in my mail today, I received a letter from someone who it just perfectly fits in. Don't forget where I started. I said I was blessed today by something. This individual apparently, who was attending and participating, but started to believe a lot of the garbage on the internet and fell away. Now, this individual also said that they kind of lost their footing in the faith first. That just made it so much easier, and then you can start believing all of the lies because it's just that much easier to believe. And it was only when they watched the program, which is basically the program that's now on the internet that is regarding all of the legal riffraff that's gone on that I presented to you, that they realized that they were believing lies. Now listen, I'm not here to make people love me or even like me. That's not, as a minister, that's not my calling. My calling is that I love the Lord and I love the Lord's word and his work. And just so happens that I really lucked out and married a really great preacher who also loved God and loved the Word. And the care that many of you were eyewitnesses to while he was alive and I was by his side, the only tangible that I have to exhibit, if this makes any sense, the same care of what remains is through his life's work. And I have said repeatedly, these books are a testimony to that. This was not done in his lifetime. I wish to God it was. And each time a new volume is produced and released, my mind is saying, a future generation will read this. Books will still be around, friends. Don't be deceived and think just because somebody told you a bookstore closed up, books will still be around. But the fact of the matter is that this individual heard the truth, and I've said, you speak the truth in love. Don't speak the truth with hate. Speak the truth in love, as the Bible says, and that will, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, will be made plain. So I was very blessed when I read this person's letter today. Because if it was just even for the one that responded to that, which I didn't do for the benefit of winning people back to the ministry, but just to set the record straight for those who are all over the map in their speculation. And I have oft lamented, here we are so short of people who are able to handle and help with production of all material. And I've said this before, if half of the people who profess to love Dr. Gene Scott's work would humble themselves, not to me, get a life under the Lord, and get your ego under control, you could be in here helping. And probably twice as many volumes and twice as many things could be put out. But because many of these people have chosen to believe otherwise, but just this one letter, just this one, was a blessing to me. Because it takes a lot for somebody to say, I was wrong. And it takes a lot for somebody to say, not only did my faith slip, but I listened to all of those voices out there. And listen, this is not a cult. You can go and do whatever you want. It's a free world. Go and do whatever you want. If you want to believe lies, go out and believe them. But I think I have at least, I think it's 25 years here. It's pretty darn close to it, if not 23, 24 years here. Obviously, I didn't just say, I'm just going to be here because I like the red bleachers. Somehow God reached into my heart and gave me a burden. And the burden isn't, by the way, as some have warped in their mind and become enemies over this, to somehow not present Dr. Scott's teaching. In fact, the very people who have become enemies, who are, I believe, some of them are under the devil's control, if not most of them. And it'll only be known, by the way, in eternity. Just as those that Dr. Scott touched and they came to salvation in Christ through his work and through his ministry, it'll only be known in eternity for some of these that are still trying to hinder and attack the work. It'll only be known in eternity when they have to stand and give an account. And the question will be, why? I think. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there is no reasoning with the devil and demonic spirits, but these are people who are convinced that they're serving, hear me out, that they're serving the same God that I serve. And the God that I serve from this book says, speak the truth in love. You don't come at your brother, and then people will argue, well, that's not your brother. Well, at one time they were listening, but now they've become enemies. So I want to read something out of a psalm that, as I was reading it today in my daily devotions, I thought much on these, because in the New Testament we're told to pray for our enemies. And I've told you that's difficult. How do you pray for someone who's done a lot of harm, especially to the ministry? And then here comes the battle of a new subject. I wouldn't sit down and reason with the devil, so why would I try to reason? I wouldn't pray for the devil either. But I realized that the devil has used some of these as what I call baby wipes, which after they've served their purpose are thrown away. And by the way, whatever's on the baby wipe, use your imagination. So I find myself in that interesting place, but you know, in the Old Testament, there was no pray for your enemies. There was prayer for God to deal with your enemies. And I still believe that God has to deal with them. I don't necessarily know that I have to deal with them. I have to keep doing what I'm doing, which is fighting the good fight of faith, fighting for this ministry to survive, to keep some of you who have the tendency to stray off in line. But still God's problem at the end of the day. So David's words kind of resonate to me. And although I don't feel in peril, as David, when he must have penned this, Psalm 59 is where I'm going to read from. It is said that This psalm was penned at a time when Saul sent to watch and wait for David to kill him. Deliver me from mine enemies, O my God. Defend me from them that rise up against me. Deliver me from the workers of iniquity. Save me from bloody men. For lo, they lie in wait against my soul, or they lie in wait for my soul. The mighty are gathered against me, not for my transgression, nor for my sin, O Lord. They run and prepare themselves without my fault. Awake to help me, and behold. Thou therefore, O Lord God of hosts, the God of Israel, awake to visit all the heathen. Be not merciful to any wicked transgressors. Selah. Now, sometimes I think the prayers of David are more soothing to the soul than pray for your enemies. But God deals with the enemies of his work, just as Jesus said, if you're not for me or against me, if you're not gathering with me, you're essentially scattering. So I think God has a way of working it out on his time. They return at evening. They make a noise like a dog, go round about the city. I like this. The King James has a good translation here. Behold, they belch out with their mouth. Swords are in their lips. I like that. They belch out, because that's what most people do in this day and age. They're not speaking the truth in love. They're belching out. For who, say they, doth hear? But thou, Lord, shall laugh at them. Which reminds me of out of the psalm that I taught, I think Psalm 110, when I said it's not going to be funny when God laughs. Remember that? I think that's kind of the meaning here. Thou shalt laugh at them. Thou shalt have all the heathen in derision. Because of his strength will I wait upon thee, for God is my defense. And I have two things underlined in this psalm. The first one is here. The God of my mercy shall prevent me. God shall let me see my desire upon mine enemies. But the thing I underlined is the God of my mercy, because that's who he is to me and to you. Interesting what he says here. Slay them not, lest my people forget. Scatter them by thy power. Bring them down, O Lord, our shield. For the sin of their mouth and their words of their lips, let them even be taken in their pride, and for cursing and lying which they speak. Some things never change. Consume them in wrath. Consume them. Like, God, I'm telling you what to do now. That they may not be, and let them know that God ruleth in Jacob unto the ends of the earth. Selah. Think about that. And at evening let them return. He likes this too. Let them make a noise like a dog and go round about the city. Let them wander up and down for meat, literally to eat or for food, and grudge if they be not satisfied. But I will sing of thy power. Yea, I will sing aloud of thy mercy in the morning. For thou hast been my defense and refuge in the day of my trouble. Unto thee, O my strength, will I sing, for God is my defense. And here it is again, the God of my mercy. And I was reading this for my devotions, and I thought, you know, some things never change. Whatever it was, although we know it was whatever spirit that came upon Saul, that evil spirit that came upon him, which goes right back to what I said about Balaam. Some things can be emptied out, completely emptied, and then there is no more God in there. In fact, in Saul's case, it says God put an evil spirit on him. He took his spirit away and put an evil spirit on him or in him. But as I was reading this, I was thinking, at the end of the day, or better yet, at the end of my days, that may be the best way to put it, God is, has been, and will be the God of my mercy, my defense. And those people that, I'm not speaking about coming against me personally, personal pettiness that people have that they can't seem to by the way, dig into the Bible elsewhere and read about forgiveness and understand those are certain traits of the Spirit versus the traits of the flesh. But I can say at the end of my days, I will have called upon the God of my mercy. I will have said to you many times until I pray the end of days when I have no more breath and the breath is gone. This work is His work. You are His people. You belong to Him. Everything here is temporary. We're only stewards and custodians of it all. So how you handle it and what you do with it in your lifetime and the gift that is given to you of the time that you have matters to Him. And I think what equally matters in my eyes is that God can turn somebody around, like this individual I was referencing that blessed me. Because I thought, what a shame, what a waste for those people who are wasting their time, not just my time, money, 1,000 other things going on, but think about it this way, what a waste, what a tragedy that people are using their energy to try and still tear down and do harm to this ministry, who profess, by the way, to love the Lord and the teaching of Dr. Scott. What a tragedy. So I have to read this in the proper context. Well, David had some real issues of people seeking to kill him. I have issues of people seeking essentially to kill this ministry. And the poor folks, and I say this, who are maybe emptied out and maybe not, I don't know, that's God's business to figure out. But what a waste of their time, the time that they have left, the time that remains, which is very small for all of us, whatever that time is. If you get 30, 40, 50 more years, 60 more years, it's still small in comparison to eternity. What a waste. And again, I say, I wouldn't sit down and reason with the devil. So these who know what they're doing and are aware of what they're doing, they are indeed enemies. They're not really my enemies. They're enemies of God. And they become God's problem and God's issue, and God will, in due time, as the scriptures say, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Mine is to be a steward and to protect the things that I'm responsible for. And thus far, I don't like to sit here and say things that sound braggadocious. Thus far, there's always room to do more and to be a better steward. If you're really looking, you can always see places where I could have done this better and I could have done that better. But I haven't let anything go backwards. Our roofs are not leaking. All of our equipment, I don't see any tape anywhere on any piece of equipment anywhere. I don't even see duct tape on our cameramen anymore. I'm talking about their headsets. You know, headsets would get broken. They'd put tape on that too. They'd have like a big goober of tape around near their mouth. Or the headset. Oh, the earphone, the earpiece broke off. Tape. Part of being a steward doesn't mean everything has to be new, but once we bought something, it needs to be kept in that state. I think my stewardship speaks volumes of the things that I've said to you that you can see, the things that have been visibly seen that are the tangible, and the things every week I sit down here and they'll tell me, we have a new edit we're putting up. Usually it happens right after I'm done with the live time here. They're putting up a new edit. So I'm not discarding Jesus' words. He said, pray for your enemies. I think I'm going to pray that maybe the Lord be merciful with them. I've said that before, that maybe somehow that's the way to pray when you can't figure out what else to pray for. That the Lord be merciful to these who have caused and continue to try and cause harm to the ministry. And what a sad thing when I think about my late husband and the love that he had for me and I had for him and I still have for him. That somewhere, somehow, he knew that I would stay by the stuff. And I think I've done that. I haven't gone anywhere. I think I'm still here. which should be a call to you as well. And I say you, those who sit out there and entertain the gossip and the trash. Listen, believe what you want to believe. Okay? It's a free world. Believe what you want to believe. But don't be ignorant to the things that you see. And the things that I say, the tangible, the visible, the programs, but something else, the ones that are out there that continue to be doing these acts against the ministry, they don't see the dedicated volunteers and the dedicated staff and the committed people who pour in as much as they can to helping to spread the word and get the gospel out. I have no problem with saying to you, the ones who are the workers, not that you need it from them. I'm sorry that you have to endure that type of, and I'll just say it, crap. But anything that is worthwhile, you know, when you put your hand to the plow, you know what's going to be thrown at you. And the closer you get to doing things that are really counting for something in eternity, the more the attacks come, which is why I say to you, I'm actually grateful, even though I don't like it. There's still people out there who continue to be as they are, because it tells me that we are making a dent for the kingdom of God, and we are making a dent in the devil's territory. And it may be just a small sliver, it may just be a hairline. But for this container to have so much constant, all the things that come against me for this ministry and towards this ministry tells me this is pretty important in God's eyes, and the devil will not stop. You know, you can eliminate one. It's like Pop's vision of, you know, hitting the snakes, and you hit one here and one pops up over there. It's just like that. In fact, I'm almost thinking that that vision somehow applies to this day and age, because just when you think one has gone away, another one surfaces. And I believe in my lifetime this will not end. So just for my enemies, just so you think if I think there's going to be an end here, no. That's the nature of it. Just recognize that you're doing the devil's work and we're here doing the Lord's work. And somehow my Bible tells me that God already got the victory. So we just have to stay faithful and keep fighting on in faith. And that's what I intend to do. I hope that you will keep doing that with me. And all of the people who like to be belchers out, as David called them, belch away. But what you're breathing in is the devil's air, friends. So just suck it in. Whatever comes out, we know where it came from. Never heard that said like that, did you? Get on the telephone.